So, I created an infinite corridor for my horror game. Yeah, that's right, I'm creating a horror game inside of Unreal Engine 5, and I'm also using some other Unreal and Epic resources, like for example, the horror engine, which by far is my favorite product I ever got from the Unreal, from the Epic marketplace. Is like super cheap and also like really powerful. And if you follow the channel, you probably saw my last video on the topic a couple of months ago. Was this, I was actually developing this same idea of the infinite corridor, but I was trying it on a different setting. I was actually using like a train, so you were inside of an infinite train and you needed to use your magic camera, your supernatural camera, polaroid style camera, to actually detect and find anomalies and entities, and register those entities and anomalies using your camera. And that would allow you, if you are successful, to get out of this loop and leave this train. So this was the idea I started with, but the thing is that I didn't really like the train thing. I ran into some problems and some things that I was not happy with, but now I may say that things are a little bit different because I decided to go for a more traditional setting, something that I can relate easier to horror. And I also wanted this first project to be something on a smaller scale, something I could actually handle myself. And I'm so happy I did that because things are turning out so great. So here's the thing, we have this map. This is the entire thing. It's basically a corridor, and on the start of the corridor we have this room, which for me works as a transition area. And by the end of the corridor, after you come here, this part is a little bit empty yet, you have the same room, and when you cross this volume here, you actually get teleported back to the start of the level. And ideally this would be seamless and you wouldn't realize that you're actually just looping around. And the goal of the game is actually to leave this loop. So you have a polaroid camera and you have to identify the anomalies and entities and capture them with your camera, and by doing that you would be able to solve puzzles and actually move and eventually leave this cursed corridor. But let me just show you what we have so far, and later we can go into more detail on some things. So this is the starting room, and right now there's like nothing on here because this is mostly the structure. I wanted to have the structure done, and I used some assets from a pack called, how is it called, Victorian House something, I believe, and it had some really cool things, so I'm using those as both placeholders but also as like something to get me into the mood. But I'm mostly on the prototyping phase, so things will change a lot from this point. And if you open this door, you actually can't because this door is locked, but if you open this door you get to this corridor, and when you get to this point the light goes off and you can actually see those cool candles. You have like a vase here, some paintings on the wall, and all of the paintings are things that I got from the Victorian House asset pack, but they are mostly placeholders because I want to do some creepy things with the paintings, and they will play a larger role in the game, so I want to actually have custom things for them. But not everything. For some things I can actually keep using the same assets. But for example, this is the main tool you will use throughout the game. It's a camera, and this is the same camera blueprint we got from Horror Engine, but the one they have is a different model, and I actually wanted something that looked like old and it could be supernatural, you know, like it's not just a regular camera, it's like really old, and you even have like a blood stain mark on the bottom. but I actually commissioned an amazing 3D artist friend of mine to create this camera for me, and man, I'm so happy with how it turned out, and I believe it actually gave a lot of character to the game. I'm not going to take it yet though, just to show you that if you try to move to the next loop, you can't, because these first 2 or 3 loops, their goal is to actually teach the player how to play the game, and like just like the basics. So in order for the player to proceed, you have to take this camera, and this will hopefully teach you to look around and don't miss like obvious stuff. So now if you try to move, you actually can, and things lights start to flicker. And I use the flickering because even when I try to make the teleports from the end to the beginning of the level, it would not be as seamless as I wanted because of the light. You will actually, every time you would get like a small flicker on the light. So what I decided as a solution, a compromise, would be to have the light flickering when you enter the room, so you're actually like masking and hiding the artifacts of the teleport. So, and also like I believe it fits the tone because you're actually like something weird and supernatural is going on, so this affects the lights. So this is where the first puzzle will happen, and I don't have a definitive thing yet, but the thing is that when you get to this point, you cannot move forward and you cannot move backwards, and now you actually have to look around and figure it out what changed, like which anomaly happened. And right now, like you can see, there's nothing on the map. There's like not much going on, but I have this green lamp that spawned here when you made the loop. So once you trigger the teleportation, you get back to this point, and here you can find this lamp that was not here before. So I want to actually change this to be something more scary and creepy and something to give you the chills. But so far this works just for prototype and testing. So when you actually take a picture of the lamp that was not here before, you actually trigger this door to open, and now you can actually move. But the cool thing is, this is the loop happening again. Once you get to this point, I want you to get this flashlight. If you don't get the flashlight, I will show you, you will just move around and loop again and nothing happens. So in order to proceed in the game, in order to move to the next part of the loop, you actually have to get this lantern. But one thing that will happen, and you will see, look at this painting. When I get the flashlight, the painting will change. But right now this is a placeholder painting, so all I did was like flip the canvas. But what I actually want to do is to have like something really weird. Do you know, like when you take the flashlight, and when you look up, like the painting is actually looking at you, or it's like burned, or there's something really creepy about the painting that changed when you took the flashlight. So this is the type of stuff that will be actually really fun to do, but right now it's not as important for me as getting like the main structure of the level and how am I going to teach you about the game without actually handing anything in your hand, like without taking you by the hand. Because I want this game to be obtuse and mysterious and spark curiosity, but I want to do this in a way that is not like frustrating, you know? So now that I got the flashlight, you will see that the painting changed. Imagine that something more extreme happens, and then if I take a picture of this, you will actually see that the lights will go off and your flashlight will come automatically. And then you heard that's a knock knock on the door. And this is like the type of stuff that starts to become like interesting and fun and like what's happening, and I want to guide you and at least spark your curiosity using like these weird things that can happen. If you're a coward, you will look to this door and go the other way, but it's locked. So you actually have to deal with the situation you are in. So now you have to go to that door, and if you look here, like even the candles are like off. Let's just say like this. You have this vase, some paintings that will change eventually, and when you get here, you will hear the sound of something breaking. If you try to open, you will not be able to, and if you get back here, you'll see that this vase is now broken. So that's something new for you. That's an anomaly. You take a picture and everything's back, like the light flickering. If you try to go here, the light will actually go off, and you have the candles, and this at this point, like, the game will just continue. So that's what we're at now. Like, the loop will repeat like forever. And one thing that I wanted with this first 2 or 3 iterations of the loop is to actually give you the tools you need, teach you how to use them, and actually prepare you for what's to come. Because from this point on, I have a lot of ideas for anomalies, like things that can happen. Like at one point you will get here and all the lights can be red, for example. But also I have a lot of ideas for entities. Like, imagine you have an entity that can possess any of the objects in the scene. So the entity could take the form of this bottle. So this bottle could be like here, for example, and then it could move and turn into something else. I don't know. There's a lot of cool things that I want to do. And the thing is that each entity you will have to deal in a certain way in order to be able to proceed and to have success in the game. So that's the idea. That's what I'm working on right now, and I'm really happy with how it's turning out, and I'm having just so much fun because this is really small and it's a really simple project. But the cool thing about Horror Engine and Unreal Engine 5 is that it allows me to actually be creative, you know, because I am not a tech guy. I'm not like a programmer or anything like that. I'm an artist. So for me to be able to express myself and to create like horror experiences, create like cool things for players to experience, and actually just be creative and create like creepy little things, this is like so much fun. And this asset, like the horror engine, just enables me to be creative and to create new things. And this video is not sponsored. This is just like a real recommendation of a project that I really like. So that's it. Let me just go through some of the more specific things. I will not get too much in detail on how a horror engine works, because that would be a video of its own. But just to be sure, like, for example, if you get to your content folder and get to horror engine, you have your blueprints folder, and inside of like usable assets and inventory, you have a lot of cool blueprints, and they all can interact with each other. You have a pistol, you have paper, which is really nice. You have like torch oil, but let's just say like the VHS. The VHS is like a tape, and the thing is that you can actually use this tape inside of a VHS player, and you can have things playing on a television. So there's just a lot of things you can actually do. But just to illustrate how this works, if you put like I just dragged and dropped the VHS blueprint into the world, and if you go to the right side here on the details tab, you will have the things that you usually have on any Unreal project object thing. So transform and mesh and some other things. But there's one thing that is unique to Horror Engine, which are the horror events. So all of these blueprints created in Horror Engine have this tab here called Horror Events. So if I go to create new horror event and index here, you can actually see what's the trigger interaction. In other words, what is it going to happen to trigger the event you want. So for example, in this case, the VHS tape is something that players can actually take in game. So I will choose on the interaction trigger, I will choose take. So this means that whenever the player takes this tape, something will happen, and it will happen one time, and it will do only once, because that's what I want. And if you go to the horror event, you can now choose which type of horror event you want. Like if you click on environment, you can actually have this horror event interact with other actors. You can transform other actors, you can move their positions, change their size, change their scale. For this painting, for example, all I did was have the the scale on the red axis to -1, so I just flipped it. But the thing is, you can use like horror events for whatever you want. And for example, I'm not going to use environment, I'm going to use something easier here. Let's just choose player and get damage. I will click on the add element, and now how much damage I want the player to take. I want him to take 25 damage. I believe the current health of the player is 100, so I would be giving like a quarter of the player's life in damage. So damage sound, yes, you can just check like the options here, they are really intuitive. But if I hit play, here's the tape, and if I actually take the tape, it will be added to my inventory, but I will take damage. So see that it's really simple, but what I like the most about this is not that it's quote unquote simple, is that it's like really fast to prototype. So you can actually try new things, you can like write your ideas, and you can actually test them super fast. You don't have to like type a lot of code, you don't have to waste your time with like a lot of, even if you're using blueprints, like to code something actually takes a while. And if you're anything like me, like more of an artist than an actual programmer, this is like really fun, like really fun. I'm having a great time creating this project, and I can actually focus my energy on the experience and also on the art and the assets and the custom things and events and creatures and stuff like that. So I'm really happy with this, and I hope to actually get back to you guys soon and share like the next steps of this journey. And maybe next time we can actually share some creatures, like some cool entities. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please hit a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and also let me know in the comments like what you think about the project, if you have any cool ideas for entities or anomalies, and also if you have any projects on Unreal that you would like to share and tell us about. And let's create like a nice community. I am like super happy, and I can't wait to actually share more of my journey with you guys. So that's it. Thank you very much, and see you the next time. Bye bye.